NBA YoungBoy just went off on this Dallas rapper in the wildest way imaginable. The leaked footage tearing up social media right now is straight chaos. It shows YoungBoy and his crew putting hands on Montana 700 backstage at one of YB's own shows.
Sick bitch ass nigga. All you YB fans, you bitch ass nigga better block me today, nigga. This little bitch ass nigga on this whole payment, doing all type of G money. Finna get on that Fredo shit, nigga. Stamp you niggas. Nah, for real.
All this over some old disrespectful comments Montana made years ago that finally came back to bite him hard. What's crazy is that Montana really thought he'd dodged the heat back in 2021. Back then, he wasn't even popping like that. Just another local rapper running his mouth online, trying to get some clout off YB's name. But see, the internet don't forget, ever. Those old clips started resurfacing like ghosts. And once they did, YoungBoy made sure Montana learned exactly what happens when you talk reckless about him. That one dumb post ended up costing Montana 700 his street respect, and possibly his whole career before it even took off. This whole thing is wild. So here's how it all spiraled out of control when dissing Lil Top goes completely wrong. To understand why Montana 700 got pressed so bad backstage, you gotta rewind the clock all the way to December 2021. That's when NBA YoungBoy dropped his Black Ball music video. And man, that release had the whole internet talking non-stop. People weren't even arguing about the lyrics, they were glued to the visuals. YB was in full creative mode, experimenting with his style, wearing makeup, painting his nails black, and moving in his own lane like a true artist. Some fans thought it was fire, others were confused, but everyone agreed on one thing. YoungBoy was pushing limits like never before. Then out of nowhere, this Dallas rapper, Montana 700, who barely had a few followers, decided to jump in and throw shade. He hopped online clowning YB, cracking jokes about his new look, thinking it would get him noticed. He really thought trolling one of the most feared and respected rappers in the game would give him a viral moment. Big mistake, because as time just proved, that little funny moment online can come back years later, and now Montana's paying the price for it, publicly and painfully. The nerve on this man was unreal. Montana 700 really thought he could play with YoungBoy's name and walk away untouched. He dropped a whole video for his tiny little fan base, talking wild, saying stuff like, "If you still mess with YoungBoy after this zesty stuff, you weird." He was laughing, cussing, throwing disrespect left and right like he wasn't talking about one of the most respected rappers in the entire game. It was bold, reckless, and flat out dumb. See, Montana wasn't just trolling for laughs, he was aiming straight at YB's pride, his image, and everything that made him who he is. He tried to clown his manhood, his street credibility, and his reputation, all in one clip. That's when people started realizing this wasn't about makeup or music. This was straight up clout chasing, trying to build fame off the name of a man who already carved out a legacy. And what made it worse? The timing. Back then, YoungBoy was dealing with serious legal issues, getting blackballed by labels, and still dropping hits while carrying the weight of the industry on his back. Meanwhile, out of nowhere comes this random Dallas rapper trying to score points by tearing him down when he was already under fire. That wasn't confidence, that was desperation. Montana 700 had no buzz, no hits, no respect in the streets. Just another internet mouthpiece hoping controversy would make him famous. But the thing about energy, it always circles back. And fast forward to now, that same loud energy he put out years ago just came right back at him like a punch to the face. Literally. When YoungBoy finally crossed paths with Montana backstage, it wasn't up for debate. He handled it right then and there. Things got heated, words turned into action. And let's just say Montana left that room with a whole new level of understanding. You can't play disrespectful and expect mercy. Now, the man who once clowned YB for views is the one trending for getting humbled in real life. Montana probably thought YoungBoy would never see that old clip, or that even if he did, he'd be too busy to care. But fame has a way of dragging ghosts out of hiding, and when that spotlight swung back around, Montana's past came crawling right with it. Fast forward to 2024 and 2025, Montana finally started making a little noise in Dallas. Not superstar status, but enough for people to start whispering his name in small venues, local blogs, and mixtape circles. But the internet, oh, it never lets anyone live peacefully. It started digging through his old content, the dusty posts, the freestyles, the messy rants, and boom, right there, sitting in plain sight, was that disrespectful clip of him clowning NBA YoungBoy. Once fans spotted it, the game was over. That video spread like wildfire. Hip-hop blogs reposted it, Twitter went wild with threads, and Instagram pages flooded with tags, pulling both artists straight into the mess. Some fans laughed, saying Montana had it coming. Others hyped it up, waiting for YoungBoy's next move, like they knew what was about to happen. But through all that noise, Montana sat there calm, thinking, man, that's old news. Nobody cares anymore. He really believed time had wiped the slate clean. 4 years had passed and he was focused on his little buzz, dropping new music, doing shows, and acting like the past never happened. But see, there's one thing Montana clearly forgot. You never underestimate NBA YoungBoy's memory. In this game, disrespect doesn't expire, ever. There's no timeline for payback, no expiration date for running your mouth. Once you cross the line, that energy stays floating until it gets handled. And Montana made the rookie mistake of thinking YB had forgotten. What he didn't realize was that this wasn't the same 2021 YoungBoy battling court cases and label pressure. This was 2025 YoungBoy, top dog status, moving like a boss, stacking success, and with zero tolerance for disrespect. So when that old clip resurfaced right as YB was back on top, with full control and all eyes on him, yeah, it hit different. This wasn't about old drama anymore. This was about respect, power, and reminding everyone that NBA YoungBoy never forgets who tried to play with his name. At this point, it wasn't even about words anymore. It was about principle. Montana had tried to clown YB when he was down bad, and now that YoungBoy was shining brighter than ever, it was payback season. So how did Montana 700 end up catching all that smoke that night? Let's break it down. It was September 2nd, 2025, just another night in Dallas, or so it seemed. Montana wasn't even supposed to be caught in the middle of this storm. His homie, Huncho Amir, had been invited to open up for NBA YoungBoy at his Dallas concert. A massive opportunity that could have changed Amir's whole career. Montana decided to roll through to show support, probably thinking, this is my chance to connect, maybe even clear the air. In his head, he might have been planning to approach YB like a man, maybe apologize for that old video, say he was young, dumb, and ready to move on. It could have been that simple, but Montana seriously miscalculated just how deep that disrespect had cut. YoungBoy ain't the type to let public disrespect slide, especially when someone tried to humiliate him while he was fighting his toughest battles. That old clip had been a stain on Montana's name for years, floating around like a ghost. And now, seeing him in the same building, that was all it took for the temperature to rise. Montana had unknowingly walked into the lion's den, thinking it was a networking event, not realizing the lions were already waiting. What Montana didn't know was that just days before that concert, YoungBoy and his crew had already seen the resurfaced video. They were heated, talking about how this same dude had once tried to make YB look weak online. So when Montana stepped backstage thinking everything was cool, YB was already in settle the score mode. And here's the thing about NBA YoungBoy. When he feels disrespected, he doesn't forget, he doesn't forgive, and he definitely doesn't wait. He's built like someone who's had to fight for everything, from courtrooms to record labels to public hate. So every slight sticks with him like a scar. Anyone who ever laughed at him, mocked him, or tried to downplay his grind automatically gets checked off in his mental book. So when Montana 700's name popped back up, that wasn't just some random memory. It was unfinished business. And the craziest part? His boy Huncho Amir had no clue he was walking into drama either. He was just focused on his big night, ready to perform, ready to shine. But that connection to Montana, that's what flipped everything upside down. Because that night, the energy backstage wasn't about music anymore. It was about payback, pride, and principle. And Montana 700 was about to find out firsthand what happens when old disrespect meets new power. The tension was already thick before they even stepped foot in the venue. From the moment they arrived, you could feel the energy shift. Something was brewing. Montana was walking around backstage at an NBA YoungBoy concert, acting like he finally made it. Cameras flashing, rappers dapping each other up, big names floating through the room. This was the dream moment for any hungry up-and-coming rapper. The atmosphere was all love. Laughs, handshakes, and people congratulating Huncho Amir for getting the chance to open up for one of the biggest artists in the game. For a quick second, Montana really thought he belonged there. He was smiling, blending in, soaking it all up, not realizing he was standing right inside a trap that had already been set. Because what he didn't know was that YoungBoy had already seen that old video. Someone from YB's circle had pulled it up days earlier and made sure he watched it. So while Montana was backstage grinning, trying to act comfortable, YoungBoy was already clocking his every move, silent but watching. When Montana stepped into that room, it was like his past walked in beside him. There was no escaping it, no more pretending that the old disrespect had been forgotten. Every second he stood there, that 2021 clip was echoing in the back of YB's mind. And then it happened. YoungBoy finally stepped forward. The temperature in the whole backstage area dropped on sight. The chatter died down, the laughter stopped. Everybody could feel it. And this wasn't no security go handle that type of move. YB didn't hide behind his team. He walked straight up to Montana himself, face to face. This wasn't about music, clout, or online talk. This was personal. YB looked him dead in the eye and repeated lines from that 2021 video word for word, like he had the script memorized. Montana tried to laugh it off, stumbling through excuses, probably mumbling something like, "Man, it was just jokes," or "I was young and trying to get clout back then." But at that point, none of that mattered. The disrespect was public, so the response had to be public too. There was no turning back. That's when everything went from tense to straight up dangerous, fast. YB's crew started closing in, surrounding Montana before he could even process what was happening. Witnesses say it all escalated in seconds. YoungBoy didn't waste a single word once he got his point across. It wasn't about talking anymore. It was about showing what happens when disrespect gets handled face to face. His people handled it right there on the spot, and it got ugly fast. This wasn't no shouting match or harmless shove. According to witnesses, Montana got smacked up in front of everybody. The whole backstage turned into chaos in seconds. People yelling, phones flying up to record, security scrambling to break it up, and artists standing there stunned. That slap wasn't random either. In hip-hop, that's one of the coldest, most disrespectful moves you can make. It's not just about dominance, it's a message that screams, "You're not even worth my energy." In that moment, Montana's whole world flipped upside down. Just hours earlier, he was feeling confident, talking about dropping new music, networking, maybe even patching things up with the right people. But instead of shaking hands with power players, he got humiliated in front of them. Imagine standing there surrounded by industry folks while the biggest name in the room checks you like that. That's a nightmare no artist ever wants to live through. The humiliation hit harder than any punch could. Montana didn't just take an L, his entire reputation took a nosedive that night. All that hard work trying to build credibility in the Dallas scene, gone in one slap. And the worst part? It all went down at YoungBoy's own concert. His territory, his stage, his people. Montana had no chance. YB controlled every inch of that room, from security to fans. And when it was over, Montana wasn't just embarrassed, he was a lesson. A walking warning about what happens when you play with someone who's really built for this. But the drama didn't end there, not even close. Somebody in that crowd had their phone out the entire time, recording the whole thing from start to finish. And before long, that footage found its way into the hands of none other than Say Cheese's owner. For anyone who doesn't know, Say Cheese is one of the biggest hip-hop media outlets in the game, known for breaking exclusives, posting raw footage, and feeding the culture everything the streets are whispering about. So once that clip landed in their inbox, you already know the internet started buzzing. The only question left was, would they post it or protect the streets from catching fire? Because that kind of footage could easily spark chaos. If that video dropped, it would have been the top headline across every blog, every platform, platform, the kind of moment that could destroy reputations overnight and reignite old beefs instantly. But instead of chasing clout or milking the situation for clicks, Say Cheese's owner pulled a move that nobody expected, one that had the whole internet shocked. He straight up refused to post the video. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Say Cheese that's famous for dropping the craziest exclusives and setting the internet on fire decided to keep this one locked away. That shocked everybody. Because if you know Say Cheese, you know they don't usually hold back. They feed the culture the wildest hip-hop moments day and night. But this time, the owner made a rare move, and his reason was powerful. He didn't want the situation to spiral into something way darker out in the streets. Think about that for a second. This wasn't just any clip. We're talking about a backstage beatdown involving NBA YoungBoy himself. That kind of footage could have broken the entire internet overnight. Millions of views, crazy engagement, non-stop reposts, and a whole new wave of attention for Say Cheese. But instead of chasing clicks, the owner said, nah, not worth it. He knew what kind of wildfire that clip could start, and he decided to keep it locked up tight. That move alone showed just how serious this whole thing really was. Because let's be real, if Say Cheese, a platform known for thriving on drama and viral chaos, was too nervous to post it, you already know it had to be something brutal. Word behind the scenes says the footage showed Montana 700 getting completely humiliated, not just disrespected, but broken down in front of everyone. To post that would have been career suicide for him. It would have ended whatever small buzz he had left in Dallas instantly. But the decision wasn't just about saving Montana's pride, it was about protecting the culture. The owner knew exactly what would happen if that video went public. The internet would have exploded. Fans taking sides, reposts flying everywhere, and before long, online trolling would have turned into real-life beef. Because once that kind of energy hits the streets, it's hard to pull back. He understood that one viral post can spark a full-on chain reaction. Threats, retaliation, even real violence. And Say Cheese wanted no part of that kind of blood on their hands. In a world where most media platforms chase numbers at any cost, that level of restraint actually earned him a lot of respect behind the scenes. Even OGs in the game started quietly saluting him for not feeding more fuel to the fire. Because in the streets, not every beef stays online. Some of them spill into real life. And once that happens, it's no longer entertainment, it's danger. That's what made this move so powerful. It proved that not everything needs to go viral just to chase clout. Sometimes keeping the peace matters more than getting the clicks. Still, just knowing that the footage exists adds a whole new level of tension. Everyone in the Dallas scene knows it's real. That somewhere, sitting on a hard drive or tucked away in a private cloud, there's a video showing Montana 700 getting done dirty backstage by one of the biggest names in the game. And you can bet Montana knows it too. Imagine living with that pressure every day, knowing that one wrong move, one bad rumor, and that clip could leak at any moment, completely ending your name for good. That's a heavy weight to carry, especially in a culture where your reputation means everything. Every time his phone lights up, every new blog post, every trending hashtag probably has Montana 700 sweating bullets, wondering if this is the day the video drops. The man's living in constant anxiety, just waiting for that one notification that could end it all. But even without the footage ever being leaked, the streets started buzzing. Word moves faster than Wi-Fi in hip-hop, and soon, whispers about the backstage beatdown were echoing through every blog, podcast, and group chat. Before long, headlines were popping up everywhere. Montana 700 gets pressed by NBA YoungBoy backstage. Fans were in full gossip mode, hunting for proof, tagging pages, and demanding receipts. Everyone wanted to know if it was real, and that's when YoungBoy made his move. A cold, calculated move that said everything without him having to speak a single word. Once the blogs began dropping stories about the alleged altercation, YoungBoy simply went online and hit like on one of the posts. That's it. No captions, no tweets, no messy rant, just a quiet tap on the screen. But in hip-hop politics, that one small action spoke louder than 100 interviews. A like from YB wasn't casual. It was a statement, a stamp of approval that screamed, "Yeah, it happened, and I stand on it." That single click set the internet ablaze. Fans knew exactly what it meant. In the world of rap beef, Silence can be the loudest weapon. That one move was more powerful than any diss track because it confirmed everything people were whispering about without YB ever having to say a word. By liking that post, YoungBoy sent a message not just to Montana, but to the entire hip-hop scene. I see everything. I remember everything. And if you cross me, business gets handled. That wasn't just confidence, that was control. It showed how far YoungBoy had come. No need to yell, no need to explain, no need to seek attention. Just quiet dominance. That kind of silence hits different, because silence with certainty is terrifying. Everyone in the industry now understood that even if the video never leaked, YoungBoy had handled his business his way. The message was out there, loud, clear, and final. YB didn't need to jump on Instagram Live, drop a diss track, or start drama online. He let one simple like shake the internet to its core. That calm confidence showed just how heavy his name really is. When you reach that level of power, you don't have to shout, you just move, and the culture reacts. His move sent shockwaves across hip-hop, letting everyone know exactly where they stand. It wasn't even about Montana anymore. It was about setting an example, because now every rapper thinking about getting slick online has that reminder sitting in the back of their head. If you disrespect NBA YoungBoy, you better be ready for the fallout. The internet might move on, but YB never forgets. He remembers everything. And when you least expect it, that old clout-chasing moment can spin right back around and crash your whole career. And speaking of careers, that's exactly what happened next. Once word spread that Montana 700 got pressed by YoungBoy backstage, his name was finished. Even without the footage dropping, his reputation in the industry got crushed overnight. No one wanted to collaborate, no one wanted to feature him. He went from upcoming artist to cautionary tale in record time. When you play with someone who built his name on loyalty, pride, and power, that debt always gets paid. Montana learned the hard way that fame doesn't erase mistakes. It magnifies them. Once your name starts buzzing, the internet digs up everything. Every tweet, every clip, every slick comment, nothing ever really disappears. One video, just one, destroyed Montana's image, embarrassed him publicly, and turned him into a walking warning. He tried to go viral mocking someone more powerful, and it blew up in his face. The message is simple. Respect still matters. No matter how big you get or how much clout you chase, you can't play with someone's name and expect peace. Your words will always circle back, and when they do, it might already be too late. Back in the day, you could talk slick in private, but now everything's digital, saved, reposted, and waiting to resurface when the spotlight hits you. There's no hiding from your past anymore. That harmless joke Montana made in 2021, it turned into the mistake that ended his career. It's a harsh reminder that not all attention is good attention. The same moment that gets you a few clicks today could ruin your name tomorrow. And the wildest part, even Say Cheese, a platform famous for exposing chaos, refused to drop the footage. That right there says it all. If one of the boldest outlets in hip-hop didn't post it, you already know how serious it was. They knew releasing it could have sparked real retaliation, real chaos, and real danger. So they held it back, proving this wasn't just gossip. This was real street business with real consequences.